A black woman CEO was physically pushed out of her first-class seat by a white passenger who claimed she didn't look like she belonged there, while the flight crew stood by and watched. "This is MY's seat, and I'm not moving for someone like you." The white woman pressed a flight attendant call button and announced loudly, "I need security. This woman is harassing me and refuses to leave my seat." Nicole Bradford felt every pair of eyes in first class turn toward her, the familiar heat of humiliation rising in her chest as whispers rippled through the cabin. The white passenger, a blonde woman in her 50s wearing a Chanel suit and dripping with diamonds, stood with her arms crossed and a satisfied smirk, radiating the kind of confidence that comes from a lifetime of never being told no. What she didn't know was that Nicole Bradford owned a company that had just purchased $47 million in corporate travel contracts with this airline, and one phone call would change everything. Nicole Bradford, CEO of Bradford Global Consulting, stood in the aisle of Delta Flight 1847, holding her boarding pass and trying to control her breathing. Seat 2A, first class, confirmed and paid for, but a white woman was sitting in it, and she refused to move. "Excuse me," Nicole said calmly, though her heart was pounding. "I think you're in my seat." The woman looked up from her phone, eyes sweeping over Nicole with barely disguised contempt. "I don't think so." Nicole held up her boarding pass. "I'm assigned to 2A. This is 2A. The woman glanced at the pass, then back at Nicole. "There must be some mistake." "Yes," Nicole said evenly. "You're in my seat." The woman's face hardened. "I purchased an upgrade. This is my seat now. I already had first class. I didn't need an upgrade." "Well, clearly there's been a mix-up, but I'm settled in now, so maybe you should just take whatever seat is available in the back." Nicole's jaw tightened. She'd been flying for 20 years. Chicago to Atlanta, New York to Los Angeles, London to Dubai. She'd built a multi-million-dollar consulting firm from the ground up. She'd advised Fortune 500 companies, spoken at international conferences, been featured in Forbes and Fast Company. And she was tired of being questioned, tired of being challenged, tired of having to prove she belonged in spaces she'd paid for. "I'm not moving to the back," Nicole said quietly. "You're in my assigned seat. I need you to move." The white woman's eyes narrowed. "Are you seriously going to make a scene over this?" "I'm not making a scene. I'm asking you to move out of my seat. And I'm telling you I'm not moving." A flight attendant approached, a young white woman with a nervous smile. "Is there a problem here?" The white woman spoke before Nicole could. "Yes, I upgraded to first class, and this woman is claiming I'm in her seat. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes. Clearly there's been a ticketing error." The flight attendant looked at Nicole. "May I see your boarding pass?" Nicole handed it over. The attendant scanned it, frowned, scanned it again. This shows you're assigned to 2A. "Because I am," Nicole said. The attendant looked at the white woman. "May I see your boarding pass?" "I don't have it pulled up right now. It's on my phone." "Can you access it?" The woman sighed dramatically, pulled out her phone, and tapped a few times. She showed the screen to the flight attendant. The attendant's frown deepened. Your boarding pass shows seat 14B. That's an economy." Nicole felt a wave of vindication. Finally, but the white woman didn't move. Instead, she said, "That can't be right. I specifically paid for the upgrade. Check your system." The flight attendant shifted uncomfortably. "I can check, but right now, this passenger has a confirmed assignment to 2A. "Then give her a different first-class seat. There are empty ones." Nicole's voice cut through like a blade. "I don't want a different seat. I want MY's seat." The white woman stood up abruptly, stepping into Nicole's space. "Listen," she said, voice low and venomous. "I don't know what you're trying to pull, but I paid good money for this upgrade. You people always try to take things that don't belong to you." The words hung in the air. "You people." The cabin went silent, but this was only the beginning. Nicole felt the rage building in her chest like a pressure cooker. She'd heard those words before. You people. Coded language. Plausible deniability. But everyone knew what it meant. The flight attendant's face went pale. That's not appropriate," I'm not going anywhere, the white woman interrupted. And if she doesn't leave me alone, I'm calling security. She reached up and pressed the call button. Twice, a male flight attendant appeared. Older, white, authoritative. What's going on? The white woman's entire demeanor changed. Her voice became soft, fragile, victimized. This woman is harassing me. I've been sitting here peacefully, and she's demanding I give up my seat. I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable and unsafe. Nicole's mouth fell open. That's a lie. This is my assigned seat. The male flight attendant said, turning to Nicole, I need you to calm down. I am calm. You're raising your voice. Because I'm being lied about. If you don't lower your voice, I'll have to ask you to deplane. Nicole stared at him in disbelief. The white woman sat back down in Nicole's seat, a smug smile playing at her lips. The male flight attendant looked at the younger one. What's the issue? This passenger, she gestured to Nicole, is assigned to 2A. But this passenger, she gestured to the white woman, is already seated here and claims she upgraded. Do we have record of the upgrade? I'm checking now. The younger attendant pulled out a tablet, tapped a few times. I don't see an upgrade process for this passenger. Her confirmed seat is 14B. The male attendant looked at the white woman. It looks like you're in the wrong seat. That's impossible. I paid for the upgrade at the gate. Let me verify with the gate agent. He walked away. The white woman stayed seated. Nicole stood in the aisle, boarding pass clutched in her hand, humiliation burning through her. Other passengers were watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked annoyed at Nicole for holding up the flight. One man in 3C muttered, just take another seat. It's not that serious. Nicole turned to him, voice shaking with controlled fury. It is that serious. This is my seat. I paid for it, and I'm not going to be pushed out of something that belongs to me. The man rolled his eyes and looked away. What she didn't know was who was watching. In seat 1A sat Marcus Chen, a Korean-American man in his early 60s. He was a senior vice president of corporate partnerships for Delta Airlines, and he was watching everything. Marcus had been with Delta for 30 years. He'd seen it all. Drunk passengers, belligerent passengers, entitled passengers. But what he was witnessing now was different. This wasn't just entitlement. This was racism. Blatant, unapologetic, cruel. He listened as the white woman lied, watched as she weaponized her tears and her fragility, saw how the flight crew treated the two women differently. The white woman believed, accommodated, centered. The black woman questioned, dismissed, threatened. Marcus pulled out his phone and started typing. He didn't know who the black woman was, but he knew she was right, and he knew his airline was failing her. Be honest, what would you have done? The male flight attendant returned with 2 airport security officers. Nicole's stomach dropped. Are you serious right now? One of the officers said, we need you to come with us. For what? I'm the one with the assigned seat. Please don't make this difficult. This is insane. She's sitting in MY's seat, lying about an upgrade she never purchased, and I'm the one being removed. The white woman dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. I just wanted to have a peaceful flight. This is so upsetting. Nicole wanted to scream. Instead, she pulled out a phone. I'm calling my lawyer. Put the phone away, the officer said. I have a right to document this. You're disrupting the flight. If you don't come with us voluntarily, we'll have to escort you. Nicole looked around the cabin, at the passengers avoiding her eyes, at the flight crew who'd failed her, at the white woman sitting smugly in her seat, and she made a decision. She wasn't leaving. I'm not going anywhere, Nicole said clearly. I have a confirmed ticket. I have an assigned seat. I have done nothing wrong. And if you remove me from this flight, I will sue this airline, this crew, and everyone involved. The officer reached for her arm. Don't touch me. He grabbed her elbow, and that's when Marcus Chen stood up. Excuse me, he said, his voice calm but commanding. What's your name, officer? The officer turned. Sir, This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. I'm Marcus Chen, Senior VP of Corporate Partnerships for Delta Airlines, and I'm asking you, what is this passenger being removed for? The officer hesitated. She's disrupting the flight. How? She's refusing to comply with crew instructions. What instructions? To deplane. Why is she being asked to deplane? Silence. Marcus looked at the male flight attendant. Brian, what's going on here? The flight attendant, Brian, went pale. There's a seating dispute. This passenger's in 2A, but this passenger, he gestured to Nicole, is also claiming 2A. Marcus looked at the white woman. May I see your boarding pass? She held up a phone. Marcus looked at it. This says 14B. I upgraded at the gate. Do you have confirmation of that upgrade? They said they process it. So you don't have confirmation? Well, no, but... Marcus turned to Nicole. May I see your boarding pass? Nicole handed it to him, hands shaking. He looked at it, then at her. Ms. Bradford, he said quietly, I apologize. This should never have happened. He turned to the white woman. You need to move. Now. If only she knew who she was talking to. The white woman's face flushed red. I'm not moving. I've been sitting here. You've been sitting in a seat that doesn't belong to you, Marcus said firmly. You have two options. Move to your assigned seat in 14B or deplane. This is discrimination. No, this is consequences. The woman stood up, shaking with rage. Do you know who I am? No, and I don't care. My husband is Gregory Whitmore. He's a senior partner at Whitmore and Associates. He will destroy you. Marcus didn't blink. Your husband's law firm can contact Delta's legal department. In the meantime, you need to move. The woman grabbed a bag and stormed toward the back of the plane, muttering loudly about lawsuits and discrimination. Marcus turned to Nicole. Ms. Bradford, I am deeply sorry for what you just experienced. Please, sit down. Nicole sank into her seat, finally, and tried to stop shaking. Marcus looked at Brian, the flight attendant. We'll be having a conversation when we land. Brian's face went ashen. Marcus returned to his seat. The security officers left. The plane prepared for departure, and Nicole sat there, trying to process what had just happened. Her phone buzzed. A text from her assistant. Board meeting in Atlanta at 3 p.m. The Delta rep confirmed they'll be there to finalize a contract. Nicole closed her eyes. The Delta rep, the $47 million contract, the partnership her company had been negotiating for 6 months. She wondered if she should mention what had just happened, then decided against it. She didn't want to seem difficult, didn't want to jeopardize a deal, didn't want to be labeled an angry black woman. So she stayed quiet. But here's the part that changed everything. 30 minutes into the flight, Marcus Chen walked back to first class. He stopped at Nicole's seat. Ms. Bradford, may I speak with you for a moment? Nicole looked up, still rattled. Of course. Marcus sat in the empty seat beside her. I need to apologize again for what happened. That was completely unacceptable. Thank you for stepping in. If you hadn't... Nicole's voice trailed off. I know, Marcus said quietly. I've seen it happen too many times. He paused. I have to ask, are you the Nicole Bradford? CEO of Bradford Global Consulting. Nicole blinked. Yes. Marcus closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. We have a meeting scheduled with you this afternoon. In Atlanta, to finalize a corporate partnership contract. Nicole's heart stopped. You're the Delta rep. I'm one of them. Yes. They stared at each other. The absurdity, the horrible, painful absurdity of the situation settled over them. This is... Nicole didn't even know what to say. I know, Marcus said. And I need you to know, what happened back there had nothing to do with Delta's values or the partnership we're building with your company. That was individual prejudice and poor judgment. But it happened on our plane, with our crew, and we own that. Nicole's throat tightened. Do you know how many times this has happened to me? She said quietly. How many times I've been questioned, challenged, told I don't belong. In airports, on planes, in hotels, in boardrooms. It never stops. Marcus nodded. I believe you. And the worst part is, I almost didn't say anything. Even now, sitting here talking to you, part of me is worried that if I make too big a deal out of this, it'll affect the contract. That I'll be seen as difficult. That my company will lose a deal. That won't happen, Marcus said firmly. And if it did, it would say everything about us and nothing about you. Nicole felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. What happens now? She asked. Now, we land. We have our meeting. And separately, I launch a formal investigation into what happened on this flight. The crew will be interviewed. The passenger who took your seat will be documented. And there will be consequences. What about her? The woman who did this? Marcus's jaw tightened. She'll be banned from Delta. Permanently. Nicole felt a small surge of satisfaction. But it wasn't enough. It never was. Because that woman would just do the same thing on another airline, to another black woman, and face no consequences. The system protected people like her. And punished people like Nicole, even when Nicole did everything right. And just when things seemed calm, everything changed again. When the plane landed in Atlanta, Nicole gathered her things. Marcus approached her again. Ms. Bradford, I've arranged for a private car to take you to our offices for the meeting. And I pushed the meeting back an hour to give you time to decompress. That's not necessary. It absolutely is. Nicole nodded, grateful. As she deplaned, she noticed a white woman from 2A being escorted by airport security. Good. Nicole's driver took her to a nearby hotel where she freshened up, changed into a fresh blazer, and tried to shake off the heaviness of the morning. Her phone rang. Her CFO, Denise. Nicole, how was your flight? Nicole laughed bitterly. You don't want to know. That bad? Worse. She told Denise everything. When she finished, Denise was silent for a long moment. Then, are you okay? I don't know. Do you want to postpone the meeting? No. We need this contract. We need you more than we need the contract. Nicole felt her eyes sting again. I'll be fine. I'm tired, D. I know. After they hung up, Nicole sat in the quiet hotel room and let herself feel it. The exhaustion, the anger, the bone-deep weariness of having to fight for basic dignity. She thought about her mother, a sharecropper's daughter who'd worked 3 jobs to put Nicole through college, who'd taught her to hold her head high, speak with confidence, and never let anyone make her feel small. Nicole had built an empire. She'd earned her seat, literally and figuratively, but it didn't matter, because to someone like that white woman, Nicole would always be an intruder. Would you have stayed quiet in her position? 2 hours later, Nicole sat in a glass-walled conference room at Delta's Atlanta headquarters. Across from her, Marcus Chen, 2 other Delta executives, and the airline's head of diversity and inclusion, a black woman named Simone Grant. Ms. Bradford, Simone began. On behalf of Delta Airlines, I want to offer our sincerest apologies for what you experienced this morning. Nicole nodded. We've already begun an investigation, Simone continued. The flight crew will be interviewed. The passenger who took your seat has been flagged in our system, and we're reviewing our protocol for handling these kinds of disputes. With all due respect, Nicole said carefully, I've heard that before, from other airlines, other companies, and nothing changes. Simone's expression tightened, not with defensiveness, but with understanding. You're right, she said, and I won't insult you by pretending this is an isolated incident. But I want you to know we're committed to doing better. Not just saying it, actually doing it. Marcus leaned forward. Ms. Bradford would like to propose something. In addition to our corporate travel partnership, we'd like to engage Bradford Global as a consultant to help us overhaul our discrimination response protocols. Paid engagement, full access to our systems, our data, our leadership. Nicole blinked. She hadn't expected that. You want me to help you fix a problem that just harmed me? Yes, Marcus said simply, because you understand it in a way we never will, and because we don't want what happened to you to happen to anyone else. Nicole sat back. It was a good offer, a smart offer, but part of her bristled at the idea of doing emotional labor for the company that had just failed her. I need to think about it, she said. Of course. They moved on to the original contract. The terms were favorable. The partnership was solid. By the end of the meeting, Nicole had signed $47 million in corporate travel management. A victory, but it felt hollow. If only they knew what was coming next. 3 days later, Nicole received a call from Marcus. Ms. Bradford, there's been a development. What kind of development? The passenger who took your seat, Mrs. Whitmore, has filed a complaint against Delta, claiming she was discriminated against and wrongfully removed from the flight. Nicole's blood pressure spiked. You're joking. I wish I was. She's claiming emotional distress and demanding compensation. She stole my seat. She lied about upgrading. She used racial language. I know, and we have witnesses, including me. Nicole took a breath. What are you going to do? We're denying her claim and upholding her permanent ban. But I wanted you to know in case she tries to contact you or your company. Why would she contact me? Because we informed her that you're a corporate partner, and she's not happy about it. Nicole hung up, furious. That woman had humiliated her, lied about her, nearly had her arrested, and now she was playing victim. It was textbook. But here's the part that changed everything. 1 week later, Marcus called Nicole again. You're not going to believe this. Try me. We ran a deeper background check on Mrs. Whitmore, standard procedure for banned passengers. Nicole, she has a record. What kind of record? Fraud. She was convicted 8 years ago for running a credit card scam, served 2 years probation, and there's an active warrant out for her in Florida for violating the terms of that probation. Nicole sat up straight. Are you serious? Completely. We reported it to the authorities. She was arrested yesterday. Nicole felt a strange mix of vindication and disgust. So the woman who called me a criminal was actually a criminal herself. Yes. Nicole laughed, a bitter, exhausted sound. Of course she was. There's more, Marcus said. We pulled records from her past flights. She's done this before. 4 times in the last 3 years. She's taken seats that didn't belong to her. All first class. All passengers of color. We found complaint records, but they were never escalated. Nicole's stomach turned. Why not? Because she knew how to play the system. She'd cry, play the victim, claim she felt unsafe, and the crew would accommodate her instead of the passenger she'd wronged. And let me guess, she never faced consequences. Not until now. Nicole closed her eyes. How many people did she do this to? Marcus? How many black passengers, Asian passengers, Latino passengers sat in the back of the plane because she lied and the system believed her? Too many, Marcus said quietly. And just when things seemed settled, the real reckoning began. The story leaked. A flight attendant from the original flight, someone who'd witnessed everything, gave an interview to a local news station. Within 24 hours, the story went viral. Black CEO nearly removed from flight after white passenger steals her seat. Delta exec intervenes as black woman faces discrimination on own airline. Passenger who called black CEO you people has criminal record, banned from airline. Nicole's phone exploded with interview requests. Her PR team advised her to stay silent. But Nicole was done being silent. What happened to me on Delta Flight 1847 was not an anomaly. It was a pattern of black passengers being questioned, disbelieved, and punished for demanding basic dignity. I'm grateful to Marcus Chen and the Delta team for intervening. But we need systemic change, not individual heroes. I'm partnering with Delta to overhaul their discrimination response protocols, not because they asked nicely, but because our people deserve better. The statement went viral. Civil rights organizations praised her. Other black professionals shared their own stories of in-flight discrimination. The hashtag #FirstClassWhileBlack trended for 3 days. Delta's CEO issued a public apology and announced a comprehensive review of company policies. And Mrs. Whitmore? She tried to give an interview claiming she was a real victim. But when reporters discovered her criminal record and the pattern of her behavior, the narrative collapsed. She became a symbol, not of victimhood, but of weaponized white fragility. And Nicole became a symbol, too, of dignity, of resistance, of refusing to be erased. 2 weeks later, Delta made an unprecedented decision. Flight 1847. The specific flight where Nicole had been discriminated against was temporarily grounded. Not the route, the specific flight number. It would be retired, and when it returned, it would be rebranded as Flight 1847B, the Bradford flight. A symbolic gesture, yes, but also a powerful one. The flight crew from the original incident was retrained. Brian, the flight attendant who called security on Nicole, was demoted and reassigned to ground duties. The younger flight attendant who tried to help was commended and promoted. And Marcus Chen was named head of a new task force, the Equity in Flight Initiative. Nicole was hired as the lead consultant. Together, they developed 1. Mandatory anti-bias training. All Delta employees, flight crew, gate agents, security, required to complete quarterly training on recognizing and addressing discrimination. 2. Passenger Advocacy Protocol. A new system for passengers to report discrimination in real time, with immediate escalation to senior leadership. 3. Seating Dispute Resolution. Clear guidelines prioritizing confirmed ticket holders and eliminating subjective crew judgment in seating disputes. 4. Transparency Reports. Quarterly public reports on discrimination complaints, resolutions, and outcomes. 5. The Bradford Fellowship. A scholarship program for young black women pursuing careers in aviation and hospitality. The initiative launched 6 months later. Nicole stood on stage at a press conference, flanked by Marcus and Delta's CEO. "This isn't about one flight," Nicole said. "It's about a culture that too often sees black excellence as suspicious. Black presence is out of place. Black dignity is negotiable." She paused. "It's not. Our dignity is non-negotiable. Our humanity is non-negotiable. And companies that want our business need to understand that." The room erupted in applause. Nicole boarded a Delta flight from Atlanta to Los Angeles. First class, seat 2A. As she settled in, a flight attendant approached. A young black woman with a warm smile. "Ms. Bradford." Nicole looked up. "I just wanted to say thank you. I'm a Bradford Fellow. Because of your scholarship, I'm able to work here and go to school for aviation management. You changed my life." Nicole's eyes filled with tears. "What's your name?" "Jasmine." "It's beautiful to meet you, Jasmine." "You too, Ms. Bradford. If you need anything during the flight, just let me know." Jasmine walked away. Nicole sat back in her seat, the seat that was rightfully Hayes, the seat she fought for, and smiled. That night, Nicole wrote in her journal, a practice her mother had taught her. "Today, I flew first class without incident. A small thing, a normal thing. But for me, for us, it's a victory. Because every time we refuse to move, from our seats, from our positions, from our power, we make space for the next black woman, the next black girl, the next generation that won't have to fight the battles we fought." What happened to me on that flight wasn't just about a seat. It was about who gets to occupy space, who gets believed, who gets protected, and I refuse to accept a world where the answer is not us. So I fought, not just for myself, but for every black woman who's been told to go to the back, to make herself smaller, to accept less. We deserve better, and we're going to keep demanding it until the world has no choice but to deliver. She closed the journal and whispered a prayer her mother used to say, "Lord, give me the strength to stand, the courage to speak, and the wisdom to change what needs changing." 1 year after the incident, Nicole received a letter. It was from a young black woman named Kendra. It read, "Dear Ms. Bradford, you don't know me, but I was on your flight that day. I was sitting in 5C. I watched everything that happened. I watched you stand up for yourself. I watched you refuse to move. I watched you fight. And it changed me. I'm a graduate student. I was flying to Atlanta for a job interview, and I almost didn't go because I was scared. Scared of being the only black person in the room. Scared of not being good enough. Scared of taking up space I wasn't sure I deserved. But watching you that day, watching you claim your seat, your dignity, your power, it reminded me that I deserved to be in that room. That my presence isn't a favor. It's a right. I got the job. I start next month. And every time I doubt myself, I think of you standing in that aisle, refusing to back down. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for standing. Thank you for reminding us that we belong. With gratitude and respect. Kendra. Nicole read the letter 3 times. Then she framed it and hung it in her office, right next to a photo of her mother. Both reminders of why the fight matters. Nicole Bradford's battle wasn't just about a seat on a plane. It was about every black woman who's been told she doesn't belong. Every black mother who's been questioned in a store. Every black professional who's been mistaken for the help. Every black traveler who's been treated like a threat instead of a customer. We are not anomalies in first class. We are not intruders in boardrooms. We are not lucky to be here. We earned our seats. We paid for our space. And we will not be moved. Not by entitled passengers who see us as less than. Not by systems designed to protect their comfort over our dignity. Not by anyone who believes our presence requires explanation. Nicole didn't just keep her seat that day. She kept her power. She kept her voice. And she used both to change a system that had failed her and countless others. That's the legacy. That's the lesson. And that's why we never stop fighting. Because every time we refuse to move, we make space for someone else. Every time we demand justice, we create a path for the next generation. Every time we stand in our power, we remind the world. We belong. We matter. And our dignity is non-negotiable. If this story spoke to you, drop a comment. Have you ever been told you didn't belong in a space you had every right to occupy? How did you respond? And if you believe that black women deserve dignity, respect, and every seat we pay for, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this channel isn't just about stories. It's about truth. It's about justice. It's about reminding every black woman watching that you are enough, you belong, and you don't have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Stand tall. Speak up. Claim your seat. We're in this together. Welcome to the family.